Have you ever felt stuck? You know, like in a situation where you're being asked to do something that's just impossible, like totally impossible.
It's like being asked to make something from nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like make bricks without straw. Wait, have you heard that saying before?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's a pretty common one.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Well, that's exactly where we're going today.
Deep diving into the book of Exodus.
Yes. To unpack that whole bricks without straw scenario and look at, what it tells us about power and leadership and faith. All that good stuff.
It's a really powerful story even thousands of years later.
Totally. Okay, so right from the start, we see this huge power struggle. Moses and Aaron show up in front of Pharaoh, right? They're like, hey, Pharaoh, God says let our people go so we can hold a festival out in the wilderness. You'd think that's a pretty simple ask.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, but Pharaoh's response is just brutal. It's not even like a no. It's more like, who is this God you're talking about? I'm the one in charge here.
It's a total rejection of their beliefs.
And their God.
And their God, for sure. It just shows how much power Pharaoh had and how little he cared about the Israelites and their beliefs.
It's wild to think about because didn't Pharaoh think he was a god?
Right, exactly. In Egyptian culture, Pharaoh was seen as this divine ruler. He embodied Matet, which is, this concept of cosmic order and justice. So when the Israelites challenged Pharaoh, they weren't just going against a king, they were disrupting, the entire Egyptian worldview. It was a huge deal.
Wow, that's intense. So what does Pharaoh do? He's not just going to let this go.
Right, no way. This is where things get really bad for the Israelites.
Cue the bricks without straw.
Yep. Pharaoh decides to play hardball. He orders the slave drivers to stop giving the Israelites straw for brick making.
But they still had to make the same number of bricks every day.
Exactly. It's like being told to bake a cake but without giving you any flour or eggs.
It's just cruel. The text really paints this vivid picture of the Israelites struggling. It says they were scattering all over Egypt to try and find something, anything, to use instead of straw. Imagine that, like desperation.
It must have been chaotic. Just a frantic scramble to survive while being constantly watched and threatened by the slave drivers.
And remember, this wasn't just about making bricks.
Right. It was a way for Pharaoh to assert his dominance. It was like he was saying, you think your God is so powerful, well, I control everything. I control your lives.
It's about breaking their spirit, making them feel totally powerless.
Absolutely. It was psychological warfare, and it must have been terrifying for the Israelites to be trapped in this situation where they literally had no control over their own lives.
So the Israelite overseers are stuck, right? They go to Pharaoh to complain, hoping for, I don't know, maybe just a little bit of mercy.
But no, Pharaoh basically calls them lazy. He accuses them of just using religion as an excuse to avoid work. Which, come on.
Talk about kicking someone when they're already down.
It shows how totally disconnected Pharaoh was from the reality of what the Israelites were going through. It's this classic example of how those in power can just ignore the suffering they cause. Or maybe they just don't care.
So the Israelites are stuck. They're being crushed under these impossible demands. And Pharaoh doesn't care at all. This is where Moses turns to God. He's like, what's going on? Why are you letting this happen?
It's a very human response, right? When we're hurting, when we're confused, we often question our faith. We wonder why we're going through so much pain.
Absolutely. It's a very real and raw moment. But what's interesting is that even when questioning God, the Israelites never completely give up on their faith.
They're still holding on to this hope of freedom, of something better. It's incredibly powerful.
It really shows how strong their faith was.
Right, and that hope helped them keep going, even in the face of such horrible circumstances.
Okay, so we have these two leaders, Pharaoh, who's clearly a tyrant, just obsessed with control and power. And then we have Moses, who's advocating for his people. He's relying on faith and divine guidance.
It's a classic clash of leadership styles. On one hand, you have Pharaoh, who rules through fear and intimidation. And then you have Moses, who's trying to lead his people out of oppression towards freedom.
Two totally different ways of leading. It's interesting because this story, it's not just some ancient history lesson. It's about power dynamics that are still relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. We see these same patterns playing out all the time in workplaces and governments, even in our personal relationships.
It makes you think about all the people who are still being asked to make bricks without straw. People who are stuck in unfair situations, facing impossible demands, and struggling to survive.
This story in Exodus, it's not just about bricks and straw. It's a reminder that the struggle for freedom and justice, it's something that continues even today.
It's a powerful message. It reminds us to be aware of these power dynamics, to speak up for those who are being mistreated, and to fight for what's right.
And to never give up hope. Even when things seem impossible, the Israelites were able to escape from slavery. They found their freedom. And that's a powerful reminder that change is possible, even in the darkest of times.
That's a great place to leave it. Some heavy stuff to think about. Until next time, deep divers.
See you next time.
Keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the ancient stories that still resonate with us today.